We're back at it again with another Battlefront update. With the news drop for the first December update expected to be coming next week, Battlefront 2 players are without a doubt in store for a very big content-heavy month. Which again is great news considering we didn't get an update in November. However, that doesn't mean that we're gonna be ending November on any kind of news drought, far from it. As surprisingly, a lot of different things have recently come out that tackle topics on hero bug fixes, updates to the AI and instant action, DICE teasing fans about a whole new prophecy of content coming, and even exploring more eras in 2020. As always, we'll be covering all of this and more in today's video. And before we get into any of that, but a quick reminder. As if you do like these type of videos, then do remember to give it a like to show your support for not only this update series, but also the content within it. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Now, if you've been in the game lately, then you'll likely notice that DICE have added a brand new quick match button in the main menu. And I know, at first hearing about this, it may not sound all that special, right? A quick match button, yeah, who cares? But surprisingly, this actually is a pretty big deal, and I'll explain why. Because according to Ben Walke, anyone who clicks on this quick match button will be taken straight into a game of any mode that needs players. Yeah, you heard that right, any mode in the game. Which I think is a superb idea by DICE here. Considering how this button is on the front page of the main menu too, a lot of people will be clicking it. Meaning more modes like Starfighter Assault, Extraction, or whatever that normally have a hard time getting a good amount of players playing, will now be seeing more players join in and provide a much more easier matchmaking experience for those modes. Simple yet effective, I like it a lot, DICE. As for hero updates, we've got confirmation from Ben Walke that Phasma Staff Strike will be seeing a fix in the first update in December. For anyone unaware about that, in case you don't play as Phasma and this is news to you, this is actually not too much of a recent bug at all. Basically here, the third strike in the Staff Strike ability, the knockdown one, has been bugged for over a year now. Any movement while using the ability will cause the third strike to bug out and the animation will revert to the first strike. Heck, sometimes it doesn't even register at all in online play. So here's hoping Phasma players shouldn't have any more issues with this after the first December update. Another hero that will be getting fixed up as well is Bosque, who still, believe it or not, since the last update has a bug where he takes some damage merely by jumping. Now, the funny thing here is that DICE thought they took care of this issue in the last hotfix patch. But unfortunately, this bug is still around and happens now if the ground you land on is lower than the ground you jumped from. Just like with Phasma, Ben has confirmed DICE have taken a second look at this and a fix is coming in the next update. Moving on to something real interesting, Ben Walke recently revealed to the community that with the second update hitting December, it will also fulfill a brand new prophecy that he's created for Battlefront 2. And for those new to Ben's prophecies, this is basically how Ben teases special pieces of content that he thinks will be very well received by the community by calling them part of a so-called prophecy. Now, Ben's prophecies aren't anything new, as for most of 2019, he left us speculating on his first prophecy that he made, which turned out to be ARC Troopers and Clone Commandos. The other smaller prophecy after that turned out to be the Farm Boy Luke skin, and now for December, after some urging from the community, we've got yet another prophecy from Ben which reads, "I can't wait to show everyone the blank and the blank." Okay, now seeing as it is confirmed the second December update will give us 2 new reinforcements from the Rise of Skywalker, everyone has pretty much started to guess that Ben is talking here about the Sith Troopers and their resistance counter reinforcement. Or at the very least the Sith Trooper. Because really, what else can he realistically be talking about? We're all assuming those are going to be the coolest pieces of content coming from the movie. So it makes sense why that would be Ben's prophecy, right? Well, not quite. Because, as it turns out, Ben has denied this by saying he isn't referring to either the Sith Trooper or the new Resistance reinforcement in his prophecy. Which now begs the question, what in the world could he be referring to that's even better than those two? Is he talking about new appearances? New vehicles, a new map, or maybe a new mode altogether perhaps? Who knows? But honestly, I have to say it is refreshing to hear it's not about the reinforcements this time around, such as the predictable Sith Trooper which Ben has already teased about before, as instead this means there are two things coming in the Rise of Skywalker update that Ben thinks will be even more exciting than the Sith Trooper. And hey, I'll gladly take that than have the Sith Trooper be the best part of the DLC. Sure, don't get me wrong, the Sith Trooper is still going to be awesome to have in the game. But what can I say, I'm always down for better and more exciting content whenever possible. So if DICE have something like that up their sleeve, then I'm all for it. Now, of course, if Ben is only simply referring to the new movie appearances for Kylo Ren and Rey, then yeah, that would be pretty lame, but I'm hopeful that isn't the case here. Maybe a little bit too optimistic for my own good, but come on, you kinda have to be. The Rise of Skywalker DLC will be the biggest expansion DICE has ever made for Battlefront 2. So suffice to say, the expectations for that are pretty high. Now, to jump quickly into general bug fixes, I'm always seeing a lot of people in my comment section asking if there are any updates regarding the way AI bots work in instant action, co-op, and arcade. I can't speak for co-op personally, but for instant action and arcade, the AI there is incredibly broken. Even on the lowest level like Rookie, they still shoot you after things like being ragdolled during rolls and just simply not looking towards you, which is pretty ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, that is the lowest level possible, and it feels like you're playing on a much more higher level than you're supposed to. It just doesn't work. And keep in mind, that's the lowest level possible, because on the higher levels, forget about it. It's even worse. It's like you're playing against a bunch of aimbotters. Anyways, we've got an update, or sort of an update, from Ben regarding the situation, saying that DICE are aware of this and are working on a fix, so that's pretty great. It's pretty good news, right? But as always, they have to follow their list of priorities on what they can do now and what they can do later. And yeah, that's pretty much it on that front. All in all, a rather vague response, as we don't know if this problem is high enough on DICE's priority list in order to be included in the next update. So considering the way he chose to answer this question, I'm going to assume a fix for this isn't guaranteed to be included in the first December update. Maybe for the second update, most likely, but all I'm saying is don't put too much hope in the first one having an update for this. I know a lot of people in the comments have been asking about this, so here you go. It's not the best news, but it's something. Now, if you're one of those players tired of Clone Wars content and want to see modes like Capital Supremacy and co-op come to the original and sequel trilogy, which I know there is quite a lot of you, judging from the comment section on my videos, then you'll like what I have to say next. As when Ben was asked by one person over on Reddit if DICE would continue to make new Clone Wars content and release maps like Utapau, then Ben turned him down by saying, "We're looking at other eras now." Emphasis on eras and now. So this effectively answers the question on whether we'll be immediately getting Clone Wars content in January after, of course, we get the Rise of Skywalker DLC. Now, we of course knew before that DICE would be taking a break from Clone Wars, but we weren't 100% sure if they'd be returning to Clone Wars content already in January or not. Instead, Ben says other eras, with eras being in plural, which is incredibly interesting because if DICE were only focusing on the original or sequel trilogy alone, then Ben would have still been vague like always, but at least only say that they're exploring another era, instead of saying eras. Seeing as we know we're getting a beefy content update in late December for the sequel trilogy, using the process of elimination, then this means we should be getting some new original trilogy content in January. Now, this could easily be the original trilogy Capital Supremacy that we had anticipated we were going to get in November, but on account of Jedi Fallen Order, that content got delayed to later, and like I mentioned in my other video, if we don't see it in November, then there's a good chance it could come out in January. And now, this is looking exactly the case. Along with this, we've got another pretty vague but good teaser for upcoming content from live service director Manuel Lanes. who low-key tweeted this message. "Espresso machine broke down. I guess I'll have to stick with these for a few weeks, ... showing both an old and new espresso capsule. Now, the kicker here is that he's not actually talking about coffee or espresso, but more about Battlefront 2 content. Long story short, Manuel has a history of posting random but out-of-context images as teasers to new stuff coming to the game, with some stuff making more sense than others, yeah. But either way, in the end, his teases always come true, and then we all look back at his tweets and go, ah, okay, so that's what he meant by that. Anyways, it's no different in this tweet of the broken espresso machine being Clone Wars content, and the old and new capsules referring to the old and new or sequel trilogy. I mean, heck, the old espresso capsule here surprisingly resembles that of the old trilogy proton charges, the same ones that Han and the Rebels used to destroy the Imperial bunker on Endor in Return of the Jedi. Coincidence? I think not. Now, before we all get too excited here, I just want to remind prequel fans that this by no way means DICE has given up on Clone Wars content. Far from it, as DICE have confirmed this themselves already that they're only taking a break from Clone Wars content for now, hence by Ben's tweet saying other eras for now. So no need to panic, don't worry, because DICE still very much want to continue exploring that era, especially considering that they've already got some stuff made and ready to go, and are just waiting for the perfect time to release it. As for what that stuff is, well, I think all you Clone Wars fans should have a pretty good idea by now on what it could be if you've been keeping up with these videos. That's all I'm gonna say for now, so until then, this will do it for this Battlefront update. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel to not only support it, but keep up with Star Wars news, gaming, and canon lore released every week. And consider following me on Twitter and Facebook to never miss out on the latest Star Wars content. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.